if you conventionally measure like the heart rate based upon the conventional measurement, without checking the standardization, if you read an ECG which is running at 50 millimeters per second, you will interpret as tachycardia. Okay, so that is why they made a standard ECG recording speed as 25 millimeters per second, and the 1 millivolt deflection will produce 10 millimeter height. So this is a standard thing. If you don't follow the standardization, normal rhythm will appear like tachycardia when you have a faster standardization. If you reduce the standardization to 12.5 millimeters per second, what happens, the same 75 will read like this. So you will interpret as bradycardia. Okay, so that is why standardization is the first and basic thing you have to look for. Of course, in exam, they don't give you unstandard ECG, just out of information, just have in mind. Okay. Now, okay, you have given an ECG which is of standard 1. What is the first thing you look? Just tell me, what do you do normally? First thing you do.
Rate.
Check the
Rate,
heart
sir.
rate. Okay. So I hope majority of them know how to calculate the heart rate. So just for refreshment, so how to calculate the heart rate with large boxes?
Divided by.
Okay, so it is going to be 300 divided by number of large boxes between RR.
300 by
Okay. If you are taking,
number of
if you are taking a small
1500.
1500. 1500 by.
Okay, so okay, relax. So 1500 divided by number of small boxes between RR interval. Most important thing is this is for a regular rhythm. If it is an irregular rhythm, okay, you read number of R waves in a 10 second, right? So you know that one big box, okay, one big box corresponds to
0.2 seconds.
0.2 seconds, 0.2 seconds, right? And one small box will correspond to 0.004 seconds. Very good. So you have to read the ECG rhythm strip for 10 seconds. So you calculate, which means for 10 seconds, you have to read almost 50 boxes, 50 large box. You got it? Say, for example, you got one large box here, right? Right. If it's an irregular rhythm, read for 50 large boxes, which comes to 10 seconds. Calculate the number of R waves in that 50 large boxes, multiplied by 6, that will be the heart rate. Okay. Do you understand what I'm telling?
Please repeat formula.
Okay, you want me to repeat?
Please repeat.
Okay, restart, please mute your mics off to mute. Right. So in an irregular rhythm, find the big large boxes. Okay, this is one big large boxes. Okay. So continue, count the RR waves up to 50 large boxes. So one large box, as I said, it is going to be 0.2 seconds, right? So 50 large boxes will be equal to 10 seconds. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So you count number of R waves in 50 large boxes multiplied by 6, because 10 multiplied by 6 will be 60 seconds, which is 1 minute. Similarly, in that 50 large box, count the number of R waves and multiplied by 6. That gives you the heart rate in an irregular rhythm. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, lovely. Now let's move on to, so after calculating the heart rate, what is the next thing you look for?
Rhythm.
Rhythm.
Rhythm, yeah. So this is where the majority of the people find difficulty in identifying the rhythm. So now what you're going to do is, I'm going to just draw a flow chart for you. You're going to interpret the rhythms just by looking at the flow chart and identify the rhythm within 10 seconds. So what are the common rhythms kept in the exam?
Regularly.
Okay, common rhythms, right?
AF.
Atrial
AF.
fibrillation. Okay.
AF.
2, ventricular.
VT. Ventricular fibrillation.
Block.
Asystole.
Junctional.
SVT.
And SVT.
Block.
Monomorphic.
Electrolyte abnormalities.
Flutter.
Anything else?
Electrolytes, sir. Electrolyte
Okay.
abnormality.
Leave electrolyte separately. Okay. Leave electrolyte separately.
Torts.
Ultimately, electrolytes will cause one of these rhythms. That's it. Okay.
Torts.
So these are the major rhythms, right?
Yes.
In exam, they keep you only these rhythms.
Yes.
Yeah. So beyond this rhythm, they don't keep you for an anesthesia exam, right? So we can identify all these rhythms by just following this flow chart. Okay. So what is the, you ask yourself 5 questions. At the end of the answering 5 questions, you will identify the rhythm. So the first question you have to ask is there a QRS complex? First, see the ECG. QRS complex, yes or no. Okay. If it is no, one side. If it is yes, down. If it is no, check the baseline wave. If it is a flat, the rhythm is asystole. If it is chaotic means not ordered. It is going to be ventricular fibrillation. All right, clear? Sounds okay?
Yes, sir.
Look the QRS complex, see whether it is present or not. If it is not present, check the wave. If it's a flat wave, it is going to be asystole. If you got a chaotic wave, it is going to be ventricular fibrillation. Got it?
Yes.
Now let's go to the other end. Okay, you got a QRS complex. Next, check if there is a P wave. P wave present or not. Yes on this side, no on this side. So here there is a P wave, QRS complex is present, and P wave no on one side, yes on the other side. So we'll go on to side which is no. Check the QRS duration. What is the normal QRS duration?
0.08 to 0.12 seconds.
0.12 seconds. So if it is less than 0.08, it is going to be narrow. Yes or no?
Yes.
If it is more than 0.12 second, it is going to be wide. Okay. Now we are coming to this segment. So in this segment, you got a QRS complex which is narrow, but there is no P wave. Okay. Now rhythm, is it regular? Rhythm, it is irregular. If it is an irregular rhythm, it is going to be AF. If it is going to be regular rhythm, either it's going to be SVT. If there is sawtooth waves, it is going to be atrial flutter. Able to follow so far?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The second segment, there is a QRS complex and P waves are absent. If the P waves are absent, next you're going to check is find the QRS duration. Less than 0.8 second, it is going to be narrow complex. If it is a narrow complex, check the regularity. If it's an irregular, it is going to be AF. If it is regular, either it will be SVT or atrial flutter. Now let's come to the other one. White complex, white QRS complexes with no P wave. Now check the heart rate. Less than 40, it is going to be junctional rhythm. More than 100, it is going to be ventricular tachycardia, of which monomorphic if it be similar waves, polymorphic if it is multiple waves. White complex clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we have come to the point where there is QRS complex without P waves, and if it is a narrow, it is going to be regular, irregular, narrow complex, QRS complex, it is going to be atrial fibrillation. Regular, narrow QRS complex without P wave, it can be either SVT or flutter. If the QRS is wide, okay, check the heart rate. Less than 40, junctional rhythm. More than 100, ventricular tachycardia. If it's a ventricular tachy, you're going to look at the wave morphology and tell whether it's going to be monomorphic or polymorphic tachycardia. Now, QRS complex is present, P waves are present. At this situation, you have to ask the third question, whether all P waves are followed by QRS complexes. Answer is going to be yes here, no. If the all P waves are not followed by QRS complexes, it is going to be second degree or third degree heart block. We'll discuss in detail about different second degrees in the subsequent ECGs. If all the P waves are followed by QRS complexes, yes, Then check the PR interval. High, first degree heart block. Narrow, WPW syndrome. Normal, sinus rhythm. That's all. This flow chart, if you remember, ECG is over. Okay, rhythm identification is going to get over. Okay, so first question, look for the QRS complexes, yes or no. If there is no QRS complexes, check the baseline. If it's a flat one, asystole. If it is going to be a chaotic one, it is going to be ventricular fibrillation. Okay, now QRS complex is present. Next question you're going to ask is whether there is a P wave. If it is no, next question, what is the QRS duration? Narrow, wide. If it is narrow, whether the rhythm is regular or irregular. Irregular rhythm, narrow complex QRS duration, atrial fibrillation. Regular narrow complex QRS, SVT or atrial flutter. If you have a sawtooth waves. If you don't have sawtooth waves, it will become SVT. Coming to wide complex QRS duration, heart rate less than 40, junctional rhythm, more than 100, ventricular tachycardia. Okay, now P waves are present, QRS complexes are present. Next question is whether all P waves are followed by QRS complexes. If the answer is no, it can be either second degree heart block or third degree heart block. If the answer is yes, check the PR interval. Wide PR interval, first degree heart block. Narrow PR interval, WPW syndrome. If it is normal, it is going to be sinus rhythm. Clear? Shall we start interpreting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I need one volunteer who yourself feel that you are not confident identifying rhythm. You can forward and come forward. We'll start interpreting the rhythm with this. Take a picture, take this picture in your phone, and we'll start interpreting by this flowchart. Who want to volunteer first?
Yes, sir.
You want to? What's the name, doc?
Pratik, sir.
Sorry. Can you be a little more clear with your name?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. You can tell me now.
Pratiksha, sir.
Okay, fine. So you got this flowchart in your phone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you're going to start interpreting this ECG for me. Right. Ask the first question.
Yes, sir. QRS complex
Is it
is
present or not?
present.
Present. Okay. What is the
Present, sir.
next question?
Is narrow or
No.
wide?
What is the second question?
As a P, is P wave present or absent?
Can you identify the P waves here?
No, sir.
Okay. So there is no P waves. So you got a QRS complex, but there is no P wave. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what is the
It
next
may
part in the
be
rhythm?
wide or narrow.
Okay. Now it is a narrow QRS or wide QRS here?
QRS complex is less than 0.8
Okay. It
seconds.
is
Sir.
very
It's
narrow.
narrow.
Okay. It is very narrow
Yes.
here. Okay. If it is a narrow, what is the next question you have to ask?
Sir, its rhythm is regular or irregular?
Is it irregular or regular?
Sir, it's regular.
It's regular. So what's the diagnosis?
SVT or
SVT?
atrial flutter.
SVT or atrial flutter. So to identify
Atrial flutter.
atrial flutter, you need the presence of sawtooth waves.
Sawtooth
You find
waves.
sawtooth waves here? No.
No, sir.
So this is a clear-cut SVT.
SVT.
Sounds okay? Easy?
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Who want to volunteer for the second one? Good, Pratiksha.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
What's the name, doc?
Sir, Anchal.
Ranjit.
Anchal, Dr. Anchal.
Anchal. Okay, fine. Anchal, this is your turn now. Start
Yes,
with the
sir.
questions.
So QRS is present.
Yes, present. What is the next question you're going to ask?
P wave
Is it present? Yes, present. What is the next question you're going to
Yes,
ask?
Sir, all P wave is followed by QRS.
Okay, this P wave is followed by QRS. This P wave is followed by QRS. All waves are completely followed by QRS complexes. Okay, what is the next one?
Sir, check PR interval.
Okay, what is the normal PR interval?
Uh,
0.122 to 0.20 seconds.
2.2.
Okay, now identify the PR interval here. So it's going to be
Sir.
3 to 5 small boxes.
Prolonged.
It is more than 5, right?
Prolonged.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's the rhythm now? Check the flow
First
chart.
degree.
First degree heart block.
First degree heart.
Excellent. Very simple. First
First degree.
degree
Yes.
heart block.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want the next one to volunteer. Who is going to be the next volunteer?
Sir.
Karuna, sir.
Okay, Karuna. Yes, yeah, you got an ECG here. Okay, you can start.
QRS complex is present.
Yes, it is present. Next question.
Whether P wave is there or not. P wave is
Okay,
not
do you
there.
check is there a P wave here?
No.
There is no
It is
P wave.
not
Fine.
there.
So what is the next question?
Check QRS duration.
Okay, is it wide or narrow or normal?
It is wide, sir.
It is wide. So you got a wide complex, QRS complex with a P wave. What is the next question?
You have to check the heart rate.
Okay, heart
It is
rate
more
is,
than 100.
it is more than 100. So your rhythm is
Ventricular tachycardia.
ventricular
monomo-
tachycardia, monomorphic ventricular tachycardia. Excellent. Very good. Okay. So it's just simple ventricular monomorphic tachycardia.
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. So if you find of different waveforms, like one wave like this, then small wave, then one wave like it's going to be polymorphic ventricular
Polymorphic
tachycardia.
ventricular tachycardia.
Very good, Doc. Very good. Who is the
Thank
next
you,
one to me? Come on, once you participate, you get more interest.
Arshada. So,
Okay, Harshada, it's your turn now. Let's check. Okay, let's start.
is there a QRS complex? Yes.
You have to check me. Yes, it is present.
Yes. Then second question will be, is there P wave present or not?
Can you identify P wave in all QRS complexes? No P waves here.
No.
No P waves
No.
here. No P
No,
waves
sir.
here. Okay. So
No.
there is no P waves here. Okay. What is the next
Yes.
question?
QRS duration.
It is wide or normal or narrow?
It's
Narrow complex, you can
narrow,
take normal
narrow.
also, you can take narrow. Okay. Fine.
Narrow,
What is the next
narrow.
question you ask?
It's a regular or irregular?
Now you have to tell me that.
It's irregular, sir.
So what's the diagnosis?
Atrial fibrillation.
Fantastic. Okay. This is a simple atrial fibrillation.
Yes.
People who are not participating, whether able to understand what's going on so far.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have identified ventricular tachycardia. You have identified first degree heart block. You have identified SVT, and you have identified atrial fibrillation. Okay, in a matter of seconds. Who is going to be the next volunteer?
Mega.
Okay.
Mega.
Okay, fine. Mega, it's your turn now.
QRS complex visible,
Yes, it is present.
P wave not present,
P waves are present here. P waves are present here. P waves are present here.
P waves are present there, yes, sir.
Okay, what
but
is the next
P-
question?
Is not followed by QRS.
Okay, so this P wave is followed by QRS. This P wave is followed by QRS. This one, there is nothing. This one, there is
Yes.
nothing. So all P waves are not followed by QRS complexes. Okay, so this could be either second
P
degree,
or
second degree or third degree heart block. Now let's move on to
Second
discuss
degree.
let's discuss the second degree heart block. In second degree heart block, what are the two types available, Doc?
PR interval is normal.
Rankin.
Mobitz type 1 and type 2.
Mobitz type 1 and Mobitz type.
Okay, just one at a time. Rest all mutes. Mobitz type 1 and Mobitz type 2. Okay. So what are the major differences in Mobitz type 1? Okay, in Mobitz type 1, there will be a P wave, there will be a QRS complexes. Okay, fine. On the next thing, there will be a P wave. Again, the PR interval will be keep on increasing. Okay, next, there will be P wave. The PR interval will be further increased. And suddenly, one P wave, there is no QRS. Then a normal P wave, normal QRS, T wave. P wave, prolonged PR interval, T wave. Then again, one P wave, one gets dropped. So there will be progressive lengthening of PR interval in subsequent rhythm strips. Suddenly, one P wave is not followed by QRS complex and it is dropped. So if we have this type of pattern, we call them as the Mobitz type 1. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In Mobitz type 2, all PR intervals are absolutely normal,
Yes, sir.
which means when you have a PQRS complex, PR interval is normal. But suddenly, one QRS is dropped. But all the conducted PQRS duration will be completely normal. All the PR will be normal, but suddenly in one P waves, it's not followed by QRS complexes. Okay, now identify this rhythm and tell me whether it is Mobius type 1 or Mobius type 2.
Type 1.
Okay, you see here, it is progressive prolonging. Okay, is it a progressive prolonging or type 1 or type 2? Here, if you see, it is normal. Here,
It
you
is.
see, it is prolonged. Here, there is a P wave and dropped.
Yes.
Okay, then prolonged, P wave dropped. Then normal, then there will be progressive prolonging and dropping. So when you have this type of pattern, it is Mobitz type 1 heart block. Okay, so if the same ECG is like this,
This is type 2.
this is type 2. See, all the PR intervals are absolutely normal. Okay, whatever the PR interval which is existing is normal, but suddenly one P wave is not followed by QRS complexes. If you find this type of pattern, it is going to be Mobitz type 2. Okay.
So one question, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
sir.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
So, can't it be a third degree heart block, sir? Because the PP
Third-
intervals.
Because
say-
third degrey heart block, there is no association between P waves and
Yes,
QRS
sir.
complexes. P
So
wave will
that's
go.
what, sir.
Mm.
So
But if you
after
see
the
here,
third QRS,
if you see, here the P waves are followed by QRS complexes. There in complete heart block, there'll be P wave, there'll be P wave, QRS complexes, P wave, P wave, P wave, then there is a QRS complex. So there is no coordination at all.
sir, but after the third QRS complex, we
Okay.
have a small notch. So that can be a P wave followed by
Okay.
another P wave. And then after the fourth
mean
one, the
this
T
one?
and P wave have.
You mean this
Yes,
one?
sir.
This is actually the T wave.
No, sir. After this,
This one, okay. So this one, this is called as the J point. Okay, this is called as the J waves. This is not actually P wave or QRS complex. Okay, so this
Okay,
is
okay.
called as a J wave, which happens in ischemia, hypothermia, hypercalcemia, and hyperkalemia. Okay, so this is a
Okay,
typical J wave. It's not a P wave. Okay,
okay, sir.
this is what can may confuse you, right?
Okay, sir.
Okay, that's a J wave. Okay, right. Who will be the next volunteer?
Dr. Arpan.
Anyone wants to start the next one? Here you go.
Yes, sir. Dr. Arpan.
Okay, Dr. Arpan. Yes, it's your turn now.
Yeah. QRS complex, but it's
Is it present?
yes,
Yes,
less
it's
than
present.
point. Yeah, narrow. It's narrow.
Okay, see, next question is whether there is a P wave.
Yeah, P wave is present.
Is there a P wave? Yes, all QRS complex is preceded by P wave. Okay? Okay, what is the next question then?
PR interval.
Okay, so there is a QRS complexes, there is a P wave present, and all P waves are followed by QRS complexes. So now next thing you have to check is the PR interval. What is the PR interval here?
PR interval is normal.
Is it normal? Are you sure?
Narrow.
Just less than 3 boxes. Do you see here? Just only one box here.
Yes, sir. One box.
It's an error. So what is this rhythm?
WPW.
That's going to be WPW syndrome. Do you understand, guys?
Delta wave is also there, sir.
Delta wave is seen in B5.
Yeah. So you can see there is a narrow PRS complexes. But other important thing is you can see a delta wave here, right? Like this and like this. So this is a typical delta wave in WPW syndrome. And the classical thing is going to be a shorter PR interval, and very, very short PR interval here. So this is the easy way to identify WPW syndrome. Okay.
So if QRS is 0.02 0.10, sir. Then
Okay. So it's going to be 0.08 to 0.12. It's normal, right?
yes, sir.
So it's normal.
So here less than 3 boxes is it's 0.06.
Which thing you're telling me?
Right now, so PR interval is less than 3 boxes. Sir.
Yeah, less than 3 boxes means PR interval normal is 0.12 to 0.20 seconds, which is going to be 3 to 5 boxes, small boxes.
Yes.
So if it is going to be less than 3 boxes, the PR interval is going to be less than 0.12 seconds, which is a very classic picture of WPW syndrome. And in addition, you typically have this delta wave,
Oh,
like the delta symbol, right?
thanks.
Right. Shall we move on to the next one?
Yes.
Shall we move on to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. What is the next ECG? Right. Anyone want to try this one? Okay. All mute. I'm going. Just tell me whoever wants to start. You can unmute and you can start now.
QRS present. sir.
RS is not there.
Okay. Okay. Who is that? Harish.
Megha.
Harish, right?
Yes.
Okay, Harish. Okay, it's your turn now. Is there a QRS complex?
Yes, sir.
Yes, QRS complex is present. What is the next question?
Whether P wave is present or not.
Whether P waves are present or not. Is there a P wave?
No, sir.
No P wave. What is the next question?
Whether QRS is narrow or wide, sir.
Okay, do you find narrow or wide?
Wide, sir.
It's going to be wide QRS complex. What is the next one?
Heart rate, sir.
Heart rate. What is the heart rate here? It's almost more than
More
200.
than 100, sir.
So what is the rhythm?
Ventricular tachycardia.
Okay, so you got different morphology. Small
Yes,
waves,
so
large
polymorphic.
It's going to be polymorphic ventricular tachycardia. Excellent.
Yes.
Very good, Harish. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, good. Who is the next one to start?
Sir, I.
Okay, Nina, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now it's your turn. Right, let's start now.
Yes, sir. There is presence of QRS complex,
Okay, QRS complex is present.
and all QRS are followed by.
But the next question is whether P waves are present. Look at the algorithm.
Yes, P waves are present.
Okay, P waves are present. What is the next question?
So PR interval is
No, no, no. See, when P waves are present, what is the next question?
all P wave followed by
All P
QRS.
waves followed by QRS complexes. Answer that question now. This P wave is followed. This
Yes,
P wave is followed. This P wave is followed. This P wave not followed.
dropped. QRS is dropped in one.
QRS is dropped. So what it could be?
Uh,
Either it could be second degree or third degree heart block. Yeah. Now tell me whether it's a second degree or third degree heart block.
So second degree.
Second degree, type 1 or type 2?
Mobis type 2, no QRS QRS complex is absent in one.
PR interval.
But see the PR interval. Here it is going to be normal. Here it is increased. Here it is further increased, and then it is dropped. So what type of pattern it is?
Type 1.
It's going to be Mobitz type 1. Okay. Again, I'm telling in Mobitz type 2, all the PR intervals will be absolutely normal. Suddenly one QRS gets dropped. Okay. So that's the difference between Mobitz type 1 and Mobitz type 2. Okay.
Yes.
Good. So don't miss it. See, there is a progressive lengthening, and then suddenly one dropped. Okay. Again, progressive lengthening, then there will be a drop. Okay. Shall we start with the next one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who wants to try this one?
Sir,
Okay. Yes.
Meera,
Yes.
sir.
Meera. Yes, Meera. Do you find a QRS complexes at all here?
No, sir, it's chaotic.
There is no QRS complexes. So what do you have to check?
Baseline should be
Okay. Is it flat or chaotic?
chaotic,
It
sir.
is chaotic. So the rhythm is going to be
VF, ventricular
ventricular
fibrillation.
fibrillation. Very good. Very simple.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is going to be simple ventricular fibrillation. Okay. All right, I think this no one needs to try. So no QRS complexes and it's a flat line. So there's going to be,
Asystole. Asystole.
okay, good. And let's move on to the next strip. Okay, who want to try ahead with me? This is an interesting ECG. Yeah. Who wants to take an attempt? Someone new. Tanmay Patel. Have you got Tanmay Patel?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Tanmay Patel, you want to take a chance in this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you can start reading.
QRS complex present.
QRS is
Then-
present.
Hmm.
Others,
Then
you can practice and try in your own, okay, in your paper.
Okay.
Okay, next one.
Then the P wave.
P waves are present or not?
Yes, present, sir.
Present. What is the next question?
Sir, all P waves followed by QRS.
All P waves followed by QRS. Just check and tell me.
No, sir.
No. So it could be either
Second degree or third degree heart block.
second degree or third degree. Okay. So is there an AV dissociation? No. All the P waves are conducted by QRS. Okay. So it is not type 3. So in type 2, second degree, it will be type 1 or type 2. Just check it and tell me.
Sir, it is type 2.
Mobitz type 2. Excellent. Okay. Here, if you see here, PR intervals are normal. In all the waveforms, PR intervals are normal. PR intervals are normal. There is occasionally one drop in the QRS complex. So this is
Yes,
a
sir.
classical picture of Mobitz type 2 heart block,
Type
second degree heart block.
Yes, sir.
Good. I don't know whether you got any more.
Sometimes
EC.
confusion.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sometimes there is confusion between the Mobitz type 2 and third degree.
Okay. So you want to find the difference between Mobitz type 2 and Mobitz type 2 type and this one, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just hang on for a minute. I will take, I think I had an ECG in my previous class. Just hang on for a minute. I'll get that back. I'll take that image. Hang on for a second. Okay, how does it feel? Is it easy to interpret like this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I hope you can interpret it very easily. Okay, so I've just added one more image here. I will have that picture here so that you can check easily and identify the rhythm. Now I'm sharing the screen. Able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So in first degree heart block, the primary thing is all the P waves followed by QRS complexes. Okay. All the P waves are followed by QRS complexes. Right. But the main thing is PR interval is going to be prolonged. See here, there is a prolonged PR interval, but all the P waves will be eventually conducted by a QRS complexes. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In second degree heart block, Mobitz type 1, there will be progressive lengthening of PR interval. Then one PR interval, one P waves is followed by drop in the QRS. So this is Mobitz 1. Main thing is progressive prolongation of PR. Suddenly there is a drop in the QRS complex. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next one. In
Sir,
Mobitz,
sir, in Mobitz type 1, you said one P wave will be missed.
no, one QRS complex will be dropped. P waves will be there.
Okay, sir, in type 1, QRS will be missed.
Yeah. In Mobitz type 1, there will be progressive increase in the PR interval. As you see here, it's normal here, increase here, further increase here. Then one P wave followed by drop in the QRS. One QRS is completely dropped, which means it is not conducted.
Okay.
So this type of progressive prolongation of PA interval followed by drop in the QRS is going to be classical picture of Mobiit's type 1. In second degree heart block Mobiit's type 2, PR interval is normal, PR interval is normal, PR interval is normal, but occasionally one P waves will be dropped by QRS complex. Whereas all the QRS complex which is conducted from P wave will have a normal PR interval. Do you understand this point?
Yes, sir.
All the conducted P
Yes,
waves
sir.
and QRS intervals will be of normal duration, but occasionally there will be one drop in QRS for which is not following the P wave. When you have this type of picture, it is going to be Mobiit's type 2. In patients with third degree heart block, you don't have any coordination with P wave and QRS complex. You can't find which is P wave. You can't find which QRS complex is following which P wave. That complete atrioventricular dissociation. Like for example, we saw in the DCG, we don't know this is T wave or we don't know this is P wave. We don't know which is P wave, which is T wave, which QRS complex is followed by which P wave. So that complete AV dissociation is a classical picture of third degree heart block. Now you're clear?
Yes, sir.
All everyone clear with the identifying the rhythms?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
with this flowchart, you can identify all the 12 to 13 rhythms kept in the exam. Okay. Now someone is asking me about axis, right? We'll discuss about axis now.
So in Mobius type 1 and type 2, in both QRS is missed,
In Mobiit's type 1 and type 2, yeah, QRS is missed, okay? But in Mobiit's type 1, there will be progressive lengthening, whereas that progressive lengthening is not here in the Mobiit's type 2.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's move on to
Sir, please explain Taussig pointers.
Torsades pontis is very simple. You get this polymorphic ventricular tachycardia. Polymorphic ventricular tachycardia is a unique picture of Torsades pontis. Okay.
So only seen in Taussig points that there is a difference between polymorphic tachycardia and Taussig point.
Well, I don't think so. I think most of the polymorphic ventricular tachycardia they keep in the exam is predominantly Torsades pontis. Okay. There is no much difference, I think.
Okay.
Now let's discuss about the axis. Okay. So to know the axis of the heart, you should know what is the normal axis, how it is calculated. Okay. So before having that knowledge, you should have an idea of the electrodes. How many electrodes are there? Or how many leads?
12 lead.
So there will be bipolar leads, classified as bipolar leads and unipolar leads. Okay, unipolar has got chest and limb. Bipolar has got 1, 2, 3. Unipolar chest leads are V1 to V6. Put your mics to mute, please. And unipolar limb leads is going to be AVF, AVL, and AVR. So totally 6 here, plus 3, 9 here, plus 3, 12 leads. Okay. So broad classification, bipolar and unipolar leads. Of the unipolar, there are unipolar chest leads and unipolar limb leads. Okay. Now you have to make sure that at what angles or at which direction this limb or leads or the electrodes are facing the heart. So that information is important. That knowledge is important to interpret the axis in the ECG. So you got a vertical line and you got a transverse line. Okay. Right. Say for example, if the heart is sitting here, it's the normal axis. Okay. If the heart is sitting like this. Right. So this lead will represent 1. Okay. This lead will represent AVL. This leads represent lead 2. This represents lead 3. This is going to be AVF and this is going to be AVR. Is that clear so far?
Yes.
Is it clear so far?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you know that when you have a positive deflection in the ECG, what does it mean? When do you get a
Towards-
positive? Okay. When the current is
Positive.
flowing, only when the current is flowing towards the electrode. If the electrode is located here, when the current vector is towards the electrode, it is going to produce a positive deflection. Okay. When the current is going away from the electrode, it is going to produce negative deflection. Okay. Simple basics. Okay. When you find a positive deflection, which means the current is coming towards that electrode. When you find a negative deflection, it means the current is going away from that electrode. Okay. Now, you know the axis of the travel of this action potential. It starts from the sinoatrial node. It travels from the right atrium, travels to the left atrium, come and converge in the AV node, then distributed along the interventricular septum, and then get distributed like this. So the entire overall axis of travel is in this direction. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
The entire traveling of action potential is in direction. Okay. Now tell me what will be the deflection in AVL normally.
Positive.
It will be positive because it is facing the action of the direction of action potential. What will be the deflection in one?
Positive.
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 Positive, naturally, because it is also facing the direction of electrode. Positive. What will be in 2?
Positive.
Positive.
Positive. Excellent. What will be in F?
Positive.
Positive. What will be in 3?
Positive.
Positive, because that is
Negative.
all these leads are facing the direction of action potential travel. So they all will be positive. But what will be the direction in AVR?
Negative.
Negative deflection.
Excellent. So only in AVR you get a negative deflection because lead is here, current is traveling opposite. Do you understand this so far?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the normal cardiac axis is, it is going to be minus 30 to plus 90 degrees edge. Okay. So this is the normal cardiac axis. Now I'm going to draw a heart which is traveling, which has got a different axis. Now you tell me the deflection and tell me how to identify what axis it is. Okay, so this is one. Now the heart is tilted like this. So this is AVL 1, AVF, sorry, 2, AVF 3. Okay, now tell me how it looks like in AVL.
AVL positive.
Positive.
Positive, excellent, because the axis of travel is like this, positive. Right, what will be in lead 1?
Positive.
Also positive.
Positive.
All right, what will be in lead 2?
Positive.
Positive.
Or somewhere midway between positive and negative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like this. But what happens in AVF?
Negative.
Negative.
What happens in the 3?
Negative.
Negative.
So when the heart is tilted towards left side or in left axis deviation, lead 1 is positive, lead 3 and AVF are negative. So that is the diagnostic criteria for left axis deviation. Simple.
AVR
AVR, for axis identification, just 1 in AVF or lead 2 and AVF is enough. Okay, just look at these 2 leads alone. Take lead 1 and AVF or lead 3. You can just look at these 2 leads alone and identify the axis. If you have a positive wave in lead 1 and if you have a negative in AVF and 3, which means the heart is tilted toward this side, right? So that indicates it is a left axis deviation, which means 1 is positive, 3 is negative. So lead 1 will be like this, lead 3 will be like this. So mnemonic left leaves. So lead 1 will be looking at, the 1 will be looking at other side, the 3 will be looking at downward side, they're leaving each other. So lead 1 or lead 3 and AVF, they're looking in they're leaving each other. So left leaves, that's the mnemonic for left axis deviation. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now
Yes,
let's
sir.
see. Now let's see the other one. Very, very simple to identify axis. Just look into lead 1 and 3 and AVF. These 2 leads alone is enough. Okay, now let's assume the heart is glittered like this. Okay. AVL 1, 2, AVF and 3. Deflection here.
Negative, negative,
Negative.
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 Deflection here.
negative.
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 Deflection here somewhere midway. Okay. Deflection here.
Positive,
Positive. Deflection here.
positive.
Positive.
So when lead 1 is negative and lead 3 is positive, or lead 3 or AVF, both are positive, this indicates right axis deviation. Mnemonic: right reaches. Left leaves, right reaches. So that's the easy way to identify left axis deviation and right axis deviation. The first person who asked me the doubt about axis, is it clear for you, buddy?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, what is the next doubt you have in ACG?
The
Heart rate
bundle branch
identification.
block.
Bundle branch block. Okay. Right. Normally, when the action potential is conducted from AV node to the ventricular muscle, okay, it starts from the left, then goes to the septum, and then goes to the right side. So this will be the direction of travel. Okay. So in case if the right bundle branch block, which is more common, right bundle branch or left bundle branch?
Right bundle branch block.
Why it is
Right.
more common?
So,
Why bundle branch block is more common than the left bundle branch block?
Single blood supply. Right coronary artery.
No,
Single blood supply, sir.
no,
And right also.
no. Anything else? All right, the length. Okay, the length. Right has got a longer length. Left bundle branch, the moment it comes out, it immediately divides into anterior and posterior fascicle. So this has got a longer length. So the risk of having right bundle branch block is very, very common, and it is more risky because of its longer length. Okay. So what happens in the right bundle branch block? Okay. So we have to look into two waves, V1 and V6 for both left bundle branch block as well as right bundle branch block. Okay. In right bundle branch block, the problem is not in the left side. Okay. Left conduction is normal. So you get a P wave is followed by an R wave. Okay. The beginning of R wave is because of the left bundle branch. But as it takes a longer time to conduct to the entire ventricle because of the block, so you get left ventricle, then it travels to the left ventricle, then again it comes to the right ventricle. So this is the depolarization of the left ventricle. This is the delayed repolarization of the right ventricle because of the right bundle branch block. So you get typical M pattern in V1. You got it?
Yes, sir.
So this first R, this is what we call it as RS R dash pattern. Okay. So the initial R slur is because of the left ventricle. Then as the conduction action potential travels to the right ventricle because of the delayed or the block in the right bundle branch, it goes for another peak. So that is his second peak. So this is because of the right ventricle. So left ventricle, then S wave, then followed by depolarization of the right ventricle. Then it comes out. So you get typical M pattern. What happens in V6? So you get a normal QRS, but there will be a slurred S wave. S wave is slurred. So these two criteria are typical for right bundle branch block. Okay. So this is also called as the W pattern. M pattern in V1, W pattern in V6. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now let's see what happens in the left bundle branch block. In V1, it is going to be W pattern. Okay, P wave followed by slight one, then you get deep one, and then you get deep like this. So this W pattern in V1, and in V6, you get M pattern. exactly opposite. So this is what happens in the left bundle branch block. Mainly because why there is opposite change of the pattern? Because of the direction of the action potential travel.
Option.
So slurred S wave in V6, typical M pattern in V1 is typical feature of right bundle branch block. W pattern in V1, M pattern in V6, more likely of left bundle branch block, and there is widened QRS interval because of the longer time for the action potential travel in the ventricle. So widened
can we-
QRS complexes.
Hello.
Yeah.
So can we say left bundle branch block V6 slurred S waves?
I mean, it's slurred S wave is a typical feature of V6 because S waves are not that common in V6. Okay.
Okay.
When you get a speaker, S waves doesn't appear in V6 normally. So when the repolarization is taking delayed, so that's why you get a slurred S wave in V6 in right bundle branch block.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, now axis identification is over. Bundle branch block is over. Rhythm is over. Lastly, we'll talk about hypertrophy.
Sir,
Yeah.
so can we say it's anterior fascicular, posterior fascicular block
I
of
think I'm not interested in teaching those things because they don't keep in the exams. Don't worry. The typical hemifascicular block or trifascicular block, so far I've heard none of the exams they've kept that. So don't get confused with the trifascicular, bifascicular, all complex things. Don't worry, hemifascicular block, leave about those things. They want you to mainly identify this complete out blocks and all those things. Even bundle branch block also they don't keep in the exams majority of the time. In last
Okay,
exam, they kept predominantly the ventricular fibrillation, common rhythms, SVT. Those are things they keep in the exam. So don't worry about the fascicular blocks. Okay. Then
Sure,
we
sir.
go for hypertrophy. Okay. How to identify LVH? Okay. I generally teach two things. One thing, if the AVL, okay, just see the R wave of the amplitude, R wave amplitude of AVL, more than 12 millimeter LVH. Second criteria, yes, V1 plus or V6 or V5. Just calculate the number of boxes, amplitude, more than 35 LVH. Similarly, for the RVH, if the R wave in V1 more than 12 mm, it is going to be RVH. Simple. Or RV1 plus SV6 more than 15, right ventricular hypertrophy. Very easy to remember. Just look at the AVL. If the RV amplitude is more than 12, highly likely chance for LVH. Or if it is normal, if you check the S wave amplitude in V1, add it to the R wave amplitude in V6. If together total comes more than 35 millimeter, it is going to be LVH. Coming to RVH, just look into R wave amplitude in V1. If it is more than 12 millimeter, it is going to be right ventricular hypertrophy. RV1 plus SV5. Here it is SV1 plus RV5, whereas it is opposite right ventricular hypertrophy. RV1 plus SV5, more than 15 millimeter right ventricular hypertrophy. And that's it, ECG. You can play with any rhythm they give you in the exam.
Myocardial infarction.
Myocardial infarction. All right. So what are the hyperacute changes in myocardial infarction? The first thing you get is the stall T waves. So when is stall T waves? Tall T waves. That's the first hyperacute change. Tall T waves are significant when the T wave amplitude, okay, when the T wave amplitude is more than 50% of the amplitude of R wave, the preceding R wave. So only then it is called as the tall T wave. Only then it is significant. So tall T waves. Then you got ST elevation. Right? This is hyperacute changes. This is hyperacute. This is going to be acute ST elevation. Then for the delayed identification, you get P waves, then you get development of Q wave and T wave inversion. So when you have a development of QS complexes or Q waves, that indicates an old MI. So ST elevation, tall T waves, T wave flattening. Then this is for myocardial infarction. For ischemia, okay, where there is subendocardial perfusion getting affected, you typically get horizontal ST depression. right? So the typical ST depression, so it has to get depressed from the baseline. So horizontal depression is more significant. So for identification of ST elevation, if it is more than 1 millimeter elevation from isoelectric baseline in all leads, all contiguous leads, except V2 and V3, you need 2 millimeter elevation, okay? Except V2 and V3, if you find more than 1 millimeter elevation in all contiguous leads, that is more significant. Similarly, for ST depression in case of myocardial ischemia, more than 1 millimeter, or in some people take even more than 0.5 millimeter depression from the baseline. That is going to be significant. More important thing in contiguous leads. Contiguous leads means you can't have a finding in lead 1 and AVR. So you have to look at the leads which are more close towards, and that change has to be reflected in all the leads which are closer. That is what I mean by the contiguous leads.
Thank you.
Then just try to remember the ECG features of different electrolyte abnormalities, like what happens in hyperkalemia.
1 mm, 1 mm is small box. One
1
box.
mm is small boxes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Just try to remember the ECG features of electrolyte abnormalities like hyperkalemia, hypercalcemia, hypocalcemia, then hypermagnesemia. This 4 electrolyte abnormality ECG findings is more than enough. Okay. Rest all ECG they don't ask. Hyperkalemia ECG I'll discuss in the ASCII station, so don't worry about it. Right. Any questions?
So regarding standardization of ECG,
Yeah.
if they purposefully keep wrong ECG, like identification of mismatched ECG leads, just the standardization parts.
Just the standardization part. Okay. So check the ECG strip paper. Like for example, let me see if there is any standardization in one of the ECGs. Right. If you see here, this thing, this is the standardization. Okay. See, this has crossed a 10 millimeter height. Yes or no? 10 millimeter. That is equivalent to 1 millivolt amplitude. So you get 10 millimeter deflection only when the ECG is reading at 25 millimeters per second. If you take the standardization to 50 millimeters per second, what happens? You get standardization like this. If you may reduce the standardization speed to 12.5 millimeters per second, you get like this.
Okay, so thank you.
So this is 1 millivolt deflection, 10 millimeter height. That is corresponds to an ECG rhythm reading strip speed of 25 millimeters per second.
So 1 millivolt is equal to how many boxes, sir?
10 millimeter height. 10 millimeter height is 1 millivolt. Okay. So the y-axis is amplitude, x-axis is time. Amplitude
These
measured
two
in the
large
millivolt.
boxes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I hope you can be confident in identifying all the rhythms now.
Sir,
Yes,
excuse
sir.
me, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you might be getting some other ECG classes in some stations. So what I'm telling is, don't get confused. Follow whichever way you're finding it comfortable. That is more important. Okay. So when you look into multiple things, you get confused. Find in a way which you are comfortable. I'm not telling you to follow this one, but I follow this one because all the exam rhythms you can identify by this. They don't keep beyond these rhythms in the exam.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, what is J point?
Okay, so the J point is basically at this point. Okay. Let me take a normal ECG. Right. So this, where the SCS ends and the ST segment starts. Okay. That is the J point or the isoelectric point. So J point is significant in certain patients, like identifying whether this patient having downsloping ST elevation or upsloping ST elevation. Each has got a different reasons to identify the Osborne waves or the J waves in hypothermia. Like for example, in hypothermia, you get typically like this. So this typical Osborne waves are seen in hypothermia. Apart from hypothermia, it is also seen in some electrolyte abnormalities and early repolarization syndrome. So a lot of causes that just don't worry about all those things. Okay. This isoelectric ST segment point is called as the J point.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in which lead do we have to look for this J point? Is there any particular lead?
Actually, when you're finding for rhythm strip, the best strip to look is the lead 2. Lead 2 is always good to interpret the waves as well as the rhythm.
Okay. Thank you,
That's
sir.
why in all ECGs, you got a longer strip for ECG, lead 2 alone. Okay. So lead 2 is a rhythm strip which helps to identify and interpret different waves.
For rate also lead to?
Yeah, rate you can identify in any rhythm. It is not going to change. Rate is not going to affect the wave appearance in any of the leads.
And so to identify MI, we should V5 or?
Okay. So for example, it depends upon which part of the heart getting affected. Okay. Like for example, if you find the typical ECG changes like ST elevation, as I said, this is going to be lead 1 and AVL is going to face the left side of the heart. 2, 3, AVF is going to side the base of the heart, and AVR is going to be side of the posterior or the right side of the heart. So these are all the leads which are going to face the heart from the sides and the base. So what are the leads which is going to face from the front? So those are V1, V2, V3 and V4 are going to face a septum and left ventricular wall by V5 and V6. So with this knowledge in the background, if you find a particular change in particular lead, so that part of the heart is going to get affected. Say for example, if there is ST elevation in AVL, lead 1, V5, V6, what does it mean? The entire left ventricle is getting affected. Yes or no? So this is a typical picture of anterolateral MI. So lateral wall as well as the anteromost part of the ventricle is affected. For example, if you are having ST elevation in lead 3 and V4 alone, which are facing the septum. So that is septal myocardial infarction. Okay. If you are finding it in 2, 3 and AVF. So these are all heart facing the inferior lead. So this is an example for inferior wall MI. If you're finding it from V1 to V6, all ST elevation from V1 to V6, that is an extensive anterior wall MI because they're all facing the anterior part of the heart. 2, 3 and AV are facing the inferior part of the heart. 1 AVL are facing the left side of the heart. Okay. So if you find ECG changes in only AVL and 1, which means lateral wall MI. If you see 1 in V3 and V4, which are facing the septum, septal MI. If you see 2, 3 AVF, it is going to be inferior wall MI. If it is going to be V1 to V6, because they're facing the anterior part of the heart, it's going to be extensive anterior wall MI. So depending upon which direction the lead is looking at the heart, you get the ECG changes in that particular lead. Then in addition, P mitral, P pulmonary and all, you can't identify in the ECG. They don't keep ECGs in that to identify that in the ECG rhythm strip, but no for theoretical purpose.
So ectopic junctional rhythm, sir.
Junctional rhythm is nothing but it is a wide complex tachycardia, okay, and the heart rate will be less than 40. Okay, no P waves, wide complex tachycardia, heart rate less than 40. So junctional rhythm means both the AV node and SA node are not properly functioning the pacemaker. The ventricle pacemaker or the Purkinje fibers are starting to fire as or acting as an action potential or sinus node or pacemaker. So only in that case, the ventricular rate is going to be only 40. So you get a wider QRS, no P waves at all, and heart rate will be less than 40 because that is the maximum firing rate of the Purkinje fibers.
They won't.
Pacemaker.
Okay, pacemaker, very good. Pacemaker. If you find before QRS complex one line like this, all QRS complex one line by one vertical line, it is a pacing rhythm. So if this is a P wave followed by pacing line, then QRS, it is predominantly ventricular pacing. If there is
Can they ask question on?
Yeah. If there is a pacing line followed by P wave and then QRS complexes, it is going to be atrial pacing. Simple. When you find the vertical lines in the ECG like this before QRS complex or before P wave, just be very cautious. It is going to be pacemaker rhythm.
So they won't be asking AVRT, AVNRT, right?
No,
sir?
actually, all these are all different terms for SVT. They all keep SVT. They won't ask you what is AV nodal reagent and tachycardia. Those things are, they don't go that deep. They preferably keep you an SVT, but SVT rhythm will be certainly there in your exam. SVT,
Okay.
AF, ventricular fibrillation will be certainly there in the exam. Even heart block is also, I doubt. But SVTs, AF, atrial fibrillation, atrial flutter, everything will be there.
So what will be their next question after identifying? Will they ask the
After
treatment?
identifying, the questions will be like, what are the causes? How will you manage? Because I didn't incorporate ACLS rhythm now because I'll discuss that in the ASCII. There'll be few ASCII sessions discussing about management of ventricular fibrillation and SVT. Don't worry about that.
Okay, sir. Thank
So
you.
I didn't include management today because I don't want to waste. I want to discuss a lot of things which are more needed for an ECG identification.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, AF is fixed ventricular rate, sir.
Sorry?
ECG of AF with fixed ventricular rate.
AF with fixed ventricular rate. Okay. Right. So if all the waves are not followed by all the P, basically in AF there is no P waves at all. You can't identify the P waves because it is absent because of the fibrillating left atrium. So it is very difficult to identify a P wave in an atrial fibrillation, or absence of P waves is a classical feature of atrial fibrillation. So when the heart rate is less than 100, we call them as the AF with normal rate. When it is getting nearly touching more than 140 or 150, it is going to be AF with rapid ventricular response. Shall we stop here?
Sir,
Yeah.
Sir. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, what is the ECG when there is a wrong placement of lead?
Wrong placement of leads. Okay, now just remember the axis which I taught you.
Okay.
So when the lead electrode is changed, what happens? The axis is going to change. If you put a lead 2 here, and if you put an AVR here, what happens? The AVR will be positive, lead 2 will be negative, which is certainly impossible.
Okay.
So that indicates
V1.
Yeah. So that indicates clearly there is a mismatch in the electrode placement.
Okay,
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Good. Thank you very much, guys.
thank you, sir.
So
Thank you, sir.
try and take
Thank you,
some
sir.
rhythm. Try and take some rhythm and practice and tell me how it goes on. Okay. So far in the previous batches, they haven't faced any problems at all in ECG rhythm identification. I hope you also find easy to identify all the 10, 12 rhythms in the exam.
So when will be next class?
Yes.
Maybe 30 or 31st.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.